Hey, good evening, everybody. This is DJ Mo D here coming to you from What You Say Radio, and just want to talk a little bit about what's going on in Chicago, Chi-Town. I don't know if y'all are aware of it, but Mayor Brad Johnson, he is falling out with the constituents and the residents there in Chicago. Um, he's been in office for like the last year and a half, so they got pretty much 2.5 more years to go with him as their mayor, but he's working with a $1 billion uh, budget deficit for the city of Chicago. He proposed a $300 million tax hike that he ran on and said that he wouldn't uh, raise taxes there, and so he's making a lot of enemies there in Chicago, and so. Man, I mean, it's so bad now that the residents are looking forward to Trump coming in and kind of getting him in line and getting him in order. They are saying that he's worse than Mayor Lightfoot, who was the previous mayor, who wasn't liked as much as well by the Chicago constituents. And so here's a couple of videos just to let you know what's going on with him. Check it out.
Mayor Brandon Johnson's property tax hike is rejected by City Council.
It was an increase the mayor called to balance the budget. Sabrina Franza joins us live. Sabrina, a lot has happened in the last hour.
Jim Marie, it is unanimous. Every single alderperson voted down the mayor's $300 million property tax proposal. They say they have plenty of ideas. Now Mayor Brandon Johnson is going to be forced to listen to them.
It's a devastating loss for Mayor Johnson. I've been here, going on 17 years. I've never seen this kind of vote take place. And I think in many of our lifetimes, we've never seen this. So it sends a message that massive property tax increase he was looking for is not going to happen.
At the end of the day, the state of Illinois has designed municipalities to run on property taxes. We have tried to do the best we can to avoid that. However, it becomes a point where some of those things are necessary.
Some of those suggestions we've heard from aldermen in the past 2 weeks include an increased liquor tax, increased garbage collection fees, and contributing less to the advance pension payments. Also at today's meeting, members of the Fraternal Order of Police. This as CBS News Chicago has obtained a letter from Illinois Attorney General Kwame Raoul to Mayor Brandon Johnson. Raoul asking Johnson to, quote, reconsider proposed cuts to the Chicago Police Department. Cuts which would decrease the number of employees charged with fulfilling the department's consent decree. Raoul adds that doing so would place the city at, quote, significant risk of being held in contempt of court. Now, Mayor Brandon Johnson is expected to host a press conference to answer questions about all of these things that are currently happening at the same time. Shooting down this $300 million property tax increase does not necessarily mean that a property tax increase will not eventually pass, but it does force everyone back to the drawing board when the deadline for this budget is at the end of the year. We'll bring you the update from that press conference on the CBS News Chicago newscast at 6 p.m. For now, we're live outside City Hall. Sabrina Franza, CBS News, Chicago.
See you at 6, Sabrina. Thank you.
Now, here's another video here where they talk about the constituents and the $300 proposed tax hike that they're not happy about, and then following that video will be some responses by the citizens of Chicago and how they feel about the situation, and then I'll give my final thoughts after this.
Well, one person not at today's funeral, Mayor Brandon Johnson. He made that decision after a back and forth with Martinez's family over his attendance.
And that's just one of the headlines out of his office. The others, a 50-0 rejection of his budget by City Council. And this, the Wall Street Journal naming him the worst mayor in America.
CBS News Chicago political reporter Chris Ty is here with the political winds that have caused even staunch Johnson supporters to question what's going on, Chris.
That's right, Joe and Erica. For all of those reasons you just clicked through, political analysts say Johnson is at a fork in the road 18 months into his term, a moment they say that requires a reset of how he governs and who he surrounds himself with.
This is an inflection point, and it's a reflection point because he really needs to reflect on what he wants his legacy to be.
What grade would you give?
Probably give him a B minus.
That's Democratic political strategist Delmarie Cobb.
The honeymoon is well over. There has to be some wins coming. If I have to give him a grade like a professor, I guess I'd be sitting at a C minus or a D at this point.
That is political science professor Stephen Maynard Caliendo.
There is a trend that's happening here.
Different grades, similar observations, though, of what's gone wrong in the Johnson administration.
But what's really important, of course, is to put the right people around you.
There are some rookie mistakes that I don't think he needed to make if he had had some seasoned people around him.
Cobb points to the hasty replacement of school board members just days after mass resignations.
You don't fire the school board or they leave on Friday and then on Monday you're announcing their replacements, and do a good thorough job of vetting the people who you're going to have replace them.
As for the funeral of fallen CPD officer Enrique Martinez, attended by former Mayor Daley, political analysts wonder why Johnson initially refused the Martinez family request that he not attend.
He's making a series of curious decisions that doesn't seem to acknowledge that he has some public opinion trouble.
As for the Wall Street Journal's weekend editorial, America's Worst Mayor Keeps Losing, Cobb asked this of some Johnson predecessors.
Did they say that when Rahm Emanuel was the mayor? Did they say that when Daley was the mayor? No, they didn't say that. As long as you're doing harm to Black people, you're not the worst. Because as long as white people have the comforts and amenities, then you're wonderful.
Cobb says of Johnson, he has done no harm. And while some tell her that's a low bar from which to judge, she counters with this. She says Rahm Emanuel closed 50 schools, half the city's mental health clinics, and tried to, in her words, cover up the murder of Laquan McDonald. Mayor Daley, who you saw in our piece, she says disinvested in the Black community for 20 years, leading to the loss of 250,000 African Americans from the city since 2000. Johnson has self-inflicted wounds, she said.
Everybody.
Good afternoon.
I want to know, how does it feel that Trump is in office right now? You see the Mayor Brandon Johnson, you underestimate us. You underestimate the Black people, and you underestimate Chicago Red. We're the thorn in your side, and we're going to be the thorn on everybody else in this council member side too. If you don't stop what you're doing, we're going to take matters in our own hand, and we're going to stop it. You know that Trump had pulled 45% of the voter in the state of Illinois, 37 in the city of Chicago. That's the statistic. That means that Illinois is turning purple. We're going to turn red.
Y'all can bird dog me all y'all want, but if it's relationship over duty, then y'all don't serve the blue. And you can smirk all you want.
Mr. Sims, direct your attention towards me, please.
You're a criminal. Why do I got to address you? The feds need to address you. DOJ need to address you, and hopefully Donald Trump will address you. Because
Good evening, everybody.
Good afternoon.
I want to know, how does it feel that Trump is in office right now? You see the Mayor Brandon Johnson, you underestimate us. You underestimate the Black people, and you underestimate Chicago Red. We're the thorn in your side, and we're going to be the thorn on everybody else in this council member side too. If you don't stop what you're doing, we're going to take matters in our own hand, and we're going to stop it. You know that Trump had pulled 45% of the voter in the state of Illinois, 37 in the city of Chicago. That's the statistic. That means that Illinois is turning purple. We're going to turn red.
Y'all can bird dog me all y'all want, but if it's relationship over duty, then y'all don't serve the blue. And you can smirk all you want.
Mr. Sims, direct your attention towards me, please.
You're a criminal. Why do I got to address you? The feds need to address you. DOJ need to address you, and hopefully Donald Trump will address you. Because you're going to protect the undocumented. Why you going to allow for the citizens in Chicago to suffer under your, 3%? C. Joe Lopez cooked that 3% up a long time ago. Y'all called it a circuit breaker. Y'all been talked about it. Remember, before you came in here and gave that jovial speech, you need to be inspected. You and that creep over there.
Acting like, you just going to bully everybody. You got people, officers whose families don't even want you to come to the funeral. You just like a schoolyard bully. That at some point, And you might not know nothing about it because you grew up in Elgin. But those of us who grew up on the south side and west side of Chicago, we all know at some point that bully gets cornered in the alley. And everybody come at him. And he ain't gonna have nobody to help him. That's you. That's you. Keep thinking you ain't gonna abide by what the President of the United States said. Everybody know better than that. I see you, Anna Valencia, in your red. You know what it is. This is the second time you showed up in City Council in red. You know what it is? Yeah. Yeah. So you and the rest of them that know what time it is, y'all come on. You leave that loser where he is. He's a loser. He's a loser. No, me and Zoe, we ain't doing nothing for nobody except for ourselves. We got you, loser.
14% rating is what you appear to have, Brandon Johnson, across the United States, or how they see you. But 14% rating. Now, I'm going to talk about all those known donations of $11.5 million that came from places like the CTU, the SEIU, the American Federation of Teachers, Illinois Federation of Teachers, and then someone got the nerve to get on there and talk about cutting the pensions. What about our real estate? Because, see, we paid for these properties for a purpose and not for you to go touching it with $300 million that you want to siphon out of the citizens' pockets. Get rid of the illegals, and that'll take your money right back. Start it off with that.
In the letter calling for the special meeting, the only item up today for consideration is item number 02024-0013679. An ordinance authorizing the fiscal year 2025 property tax levy. There are 0 nays, 50 nays. This matter has been voted down. Alderman Mitchell on a motion to adjourn.
So there you have it. You see how bad it is there in Chicago. Again, the mayor, Brad Johnson, who was just I think he was part of the school board or a school teacher prior to being a mayor. So he doesn't have any political experience prior to taking over as mayor. And he's not even a resident of the Chicago area. So that's just adding more flames to the fire on what's going on. So, the citizens of Chicago, you can say they put themselves in the situation by voting him in. He is a Democrat. However, this is another key point. Most of the Chicagoans voted red this time because they want Trump in because they want to see some change in the city. And so again, the previous mayor, Lightfoot, Lori Lightfoot, she fell out of favor with the constituents as well because she couldn't get along with the higher ups there. She couldn't work with the school board. They wanted the crime to be reduced in Chicago, and those were main talking points as far as her failures as a Chicago mayor. So here it is. They're back-to-back mayors where the constituents aren't happy, and the city is in a deficit and they're hurting. And so you kind of feel bad for them. At the same time, they kind of put themselves in the situation. So they want Trump in there to get things turned around. So we're gonna keep an eye on this. Let me know what your thoughts and your ideas are in the comment sections on this situation. Again, I'm gonna be monitoring this situation. It's getting bad. I don't know what's going on in Illinois. They also got the self-proclaimed super mayor Tiffany Henyard down there in Dalton, Illinois, which is like a suburb almost of Chicago as well. So they have their political issues there, and we're gonna monitor it right here on What You Say Radio. You got locked in with DJ Mo D. Make sure you like, subscribe to the page, and again, give me a feedback. Let me know what your thoughts are on this topic here. What you say? Peace.